Hello everyone, this is Hobbs from Valorum Apply. This is TNT, and I'm excited for one of the first times to have a guest speaker. This is Robert Goss, and he's going to tell you a little bit about himself in just a minute here. For those of you who have not been here before, this is a video series we do where we talk about best practices and common mistakes in sort of the data, IT, business intelligence space. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome back, everyone. As I said, this is Robert Goss. Robert, why don't you take a minute and just tell the audience some about yourself, who you are, what you do, what your background is.
Cool. Thank you, Hobbs. So yes, Robert Goss. I am a data engineer with YRCW here in town. It's a large trucking logistics company. I've been in the data space a couple years now. Before that, I was in finance. And been part of the data team at YRCW for about 18 months. Been working very closely with other teams or other people on the team for business intelligence, some visualizations, as well as doing some data science. We've deployed quite a few algorithms so far and been really excited about it.
Cool. So, tell me some about sort of your technical background. What are the programming languages you work in? What's sort of your corner of the market, if you will?
Sure. Yeah. So I would definitely call myself a rock star when it comes to Python. That's my forte. Big also into SQL Server, other relational databases as well. I started up doing some web pieces as well, and started exploring other data structures about a year and a half ago, and been pretty interested in that. So,
okay,
cool.
Well, Robert, as you know, this video series is all about common mistakes that those of us who are professionals sort of see in the industry across clients or projects or whatever. And then what do you replace that with, right? What's the thing that fixes that problem? So if you don't mind, start off with what you see as a common problem in things that you interact with.
Sure. So one of the things I see a lot is the idea of best practices trumping an ideal best practice or ideal situational choice.
So tell me what you mean by that, because typically I would say follow the best practices, right? And so when you're saying that a best practice shouldn't always trump the situation, can you give me sort of an example of what that looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. So you may have a best practice to always use .NET or SQL Server. And today I wanted to really focus on data structures, right? So databases in particular. Sometimes people choose a relational database where there's an alternative data store that is much better suited for the situation.
Okay. And I suppose if you're always just going for the best practice, a lot of times there's going to be a heavy cost invested in moving this direction when maybe your best bet is, do you think, just to stay where you're at and use what works for the business? Or what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, so sometimes it's good to actually investigate other ways to do things, right? Okay. So other, you may be best practices to use SQL Server. You may want to look into something like a NoSQL database, or there's in-memory data stores that short a period of time, graph databases, which are coming up in the world. There's even hybrid approaches where you could have SQL and NoSQL in the same data structure.
Okay. So if you were working with someone in the audience, they've started a new project and they're thinking, okay, I've been told by all these people, here's the best practice, here's the way you should do things. How would you advise them to move forward comparing that best practice with their particular situation? What's your advice for them?
I would focus on the business problem. Understand where the business problem lies. If you're dealing with an accounting team that deal in spreadsheets, you should probably understand that that's going to be a relational data store. Using a relational database is ideal. If you're dealing with a network of sorts, right? You're dealing with the social media manager. All these kind of interconnected relationships are more ideal for maybe like a graph database or a NoSQL database. You really need to kind of understand where the business is coming from, the problem, and then look at structuring your data accordingly.
Okay. So if I was to sort of summarize that, right? Because we always try and get things down to a short statement, some kind of this thing, not that thing. Would you say that you're saying that the business case, the business scenario, that is going to trump the hypothetical or theoretical best practice?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Well, I like that. And for those of you who are out there who are starting projects, Sometimes you're going to be able to follow all of the advice that you get from people, and sometimes your situation is different enough that you just have to do what works in your specific case. Thank you very much for joining us today, Robert.
Glad to be here.
It's good to see you, and we're going to get some more people on the video series as we move forward.